What's up, everybody? It's your boy Montoya Smith, aka Black Socrates. Wanted to do a quick live as we're getting set up for tomorrow's official release of my book, Re-Education of the Negro, Necessary Conversations on Race, Sex, and Culture. So I'll keep explaining to people it's not, in a sense, a regular book where you just read it straight through, if you will. It's actually equipped with a bunch of commentaries on race, sex, and culture designed to cause dialogue amongst. So you basically use it as a dialogue or discussion book where you basically share a short commentary with your friends. You can do it for family gatherings. You can do it for discussion groups. You can do it for community groups where they want to discuss things that matter in our culture, if you will. And again, the idea is to re-educate our community through our dialogues and lived experiences where people can learn and pick up seeds they can use in their own lives. So what I wanted to do for this first one, and keep this one short, is share one of my shortest pieces in the book that I think ultimately is the epitome of explaining what we're looking to do with this book. A lot of the pieces actually have discussion questions at the end. This one actually doesn't. So I'll just share this short pieces in the later part of the book where basically hopefully to inspire as well. So every piece may not cause dialogue, if you will, but this piece I thought was the epitome ultimately of what the purpose of Re-Education of the Negro. So I decided to drop it the day before the official release tomorrow, 7 p.m. Urban Grind, the Mental Dialogue Live experience as we release the Re-Education of the Negro. This piece is called Black Socrates Speaks Architect. For the record, my goal as Black Socrates is to architect the psychological switch in our minds that leads to the actual change needed to move us up the ladder and sit at the table of brotherhood as equals. The nuance of delivering this message is complicated. Point out the realities of the inherent unfairness in this country, and you get accused of prescribing victimization. On the other hand, I neither accept the state of no progress nor the never-ending struggle espoused by the too damn conscious community who, under their breath, are trying to decide if I am a foolish race traitor for not agreeing with their every edict. Despite anyone's belief, there is no truth in superiority. Love sees no color, but I will smack you in the mouth to respect my blackness. Just my 3 cents. All I ask is that you think. So that piece is really speaking to the spectrum of a lot when it comes to culturally, in a sense, where do Black people, if you will, sit in America and in the world when it comes to quote unquote the table of brotherhood that the world sits at, whether it's looking at the continent of Africa as a whole, how in a sense they sit at the if you will, um, of all the countries, the United Nations or whatever, where it sits or whatever. It's all those countries seen in the same capacity as other countries. So from a African diaspora spot all the way back to the motherland, how it is looked at, specifically us as African Americans in America, how we're seen, if you will. And so based on that unique history of the transatlantic enslavement trade, if you will, being brought here, there's an aspect where, whether we realize it or not, we're still in a sense chasing that, and the world has a narrative about Africa and in America about us as African Americans. And so it's basically the psychological switch, specifically in our mind, not necessarily what was done to us and what the narratives that were created in the past, what they say to others, but it's just for us to realize it. And so that's what I meant by the switch in our minds to, in a sense, invoke the change for us to sit as at the world as the world, the world table of brotherhood as equals. It's us understanding it and changing the narratives for others. So that's what that line meant. And I said, delivering this message is complicated because there's so many factions that, in a sense, think they have the answer. I've always said none of us has a monopoly on the truth. Therefore, we need to talk to each other and listen to different perspectives on what progress and success looks like, whether collectively and even as individuals. And so, since none of us have the commodity, have been able to, in a sense, stranglehold on what the actual truth is, it's kind of crazy to look to one person to even do that. And so I'm just kind of challenging that idea when I say, um, when I highlight and point out that it's a complicated message. And so, last couple things, and we'll close this out. I highlight the whole dichotomy of when you point out what I'm really talking about is systemic stuff, which I think in this country there's great effort to, in a sense, hide what systemic racism actually is. And I think we have, in my opinion, a bad definition of what it actually is. So therefore, by in a sense being able to hide itself, we in a sense get caught up in attacking individuals who may feel a certain way about us. That in a sense never concerns me, but even mentioning that dialogue, it will try to say, hey, no, you're being a victim, when there's real life info that says, hey, here is collective effect on this particular group, whether historical and in some cases things that are still happening. I would highlight the quote unquote critical race theory position right now that has been misused and misnamed to, in a sense, attack understanding the history of this country in a smart way that benefits everyone, is being attacked based on this facade. In my opinion, that's just an example of what I mean there. And then I say, on the other hand, within our own community, there's this concept of what we call being on code, and I see that actually divide us because people are trying to basically tell others how they should collectively act in order to represent our community. And I've highlighted this on the Mental Dialogue Talk Show, the idea that in a sense the Black people could ever be a monolith, and most people understand that we're not. But when it comes to what way we should go or what being on code is, quite often people try to monopolize, in a sense, and act as if to a degree to be lock in step is what is the direction that we should go. And quite often I see those same people espouse the situation where there's going to be this continual struggle that goes away, that never goes away, I should say. And I always say that continuous struggle with no progress is a hustle. So just be careful, in a sense, if someone's espousing that there can't be progress because of a quote unquote they. And then I would say that's where we get confused on trying to monopolize and act as we should be a monolith in order to progress, when the reality is all groups are diverse, and in those groups, progress is made by those with like-mindedness in action, in goals, in cultures within the culture. And sometimes I don't think we afford ourselves that viewpoint because of our American experience. And so that's what I'm highlighting when I say, hey, even me, even the things I'm saying, it's on a spectrum. And so there's no one way to succeed based on your circumstances. And so that's what I'm challenging in. And then ultimately, I end the piece saying, despite anyone's belief, there's no truth in superiority. And I think anyone that has picked up that is really doesn't understand historically what happened or how the world, in a sense, was in if you will, before the transatlantic slave trade, and understand that all groups kind of do the same things to others and within themselves. And once you understand that anything that we've seen historically probably comes from human nature based on circumstances, then it becomes silly to suggest that one group is above another or one other group is more evil than one another, when the reality is, as just humans individually and as a human collective, all these things are in all of us. And so that's what I mean by that line. And lastly, when I say love, the ultimate um, emotion, if you will, the ultimate action, when you really show love in a way that you understand that people will help you no matter their background, no matter their race, if you will. But based on bad narratives, we know that, quote unquote, the construct of Black can be seen negatively around the world and in America. And so there are plenty of people who apply that to you, and they may not respect you. So when I say I will smack you to respect my Blackness, in reality, it's not even the aspect of me being Black. But if that construct if my skin color causes you to disrespect me, the issue is the disrespect. That's not going to be allowed, if that makes sense. But for me, it's not about because I'm black. It's just simply that I expect respect. And for the most part, I don't care what you say about me, if because I don't have to answer to any of those narratives that you may have. But in the event that what you're doing is disrespectful in my progress, that's going to be an issue. So that's what I mean by that. So hopefully that breakdown makes sense. Again, I think this piece epitomizes what the ultimate goal for the book is, which is to have dialogues that elevate and drop seeds where you can progress yourself and find others that you connect with. Because within your tribe, you can elevate as far as you want to, despite any systemic stuff or any issues going in the world. You can be as successful as you want to be. And I don't know that enough of our children are going to hear that simply going through the public school system. Hence, I call this obviously a play off of Carter G. Woodson, the father of Black history, who I obviously respect and love dearly. Wanted to, in a sense, put my commentaries out there to assist with that actual miseducation and bring us to a point of re-education. March 17th, the official release, 7 p.m., Urban Grind tomorrow. You can go to Amazon and search for Re-Education of the Negro by Montoya Smith and get it on Kindle, paper black, or hard black. All I ask is that you think.